during your playing career and now, what's a moment that you had was the toughest moment of your career or the most adversity you had to overcome?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably my rookie year, because I don't think there's any type of career. I don't think there's any type of career unless Keenan Robinson gets injured. Mm-hmm. So, training camp, my rookie year, there's some luck that involves this game, especially when you're an undrafted cat. It's not like I just willed myself to the top of a depth chart. Mm-hmm. You kind of need some luck and you kind of need some things that go your way. But when that luck or when those moments happen, you do have to be prepared. It's like taking advantage of the opportunity when you get that moment. Mm-hmm. Day one of training camp, Keenan Robinson goes down, tears his pec. Opening day, he's playing next to London Fletcher. Mm-hmm. And so immediately I go from 7th on the depth chart up to, I was running with the 3s. So I'm part of the linebackers 5 and 6. Just running a 3-4.
7th on the depth chart?
7th. So you had
Barry down there.
Yeah, Barry. It was like you had London Fletcher and Keenan Robinson. That was a starting duo, I think at the time. Or it was London and Perry Riley. Mm-hmm. And then Keenan Robinson and Brian Keel. And then Jeremy Kimbrough and I forget another player. And then it was me. So I'm just getting shuffled in with the 3s. So I'm probably getting like 4 reps a day maybe. Yeah. Which fucking sucked. And you're just thinking, man, I'm going to get cut. I'm wearing 46. Same number as Alfred Morris, who was a Pro Bowler the year before. Like, I'm getting fucking cut at some point. And it's fucking hot as shit. You're just miserable, but you got to fake it till you make it sometimes. And so now I'm running with the 3s. So I'm getting a few more extra reps, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And that next week, Jeremy Kimbrough, who was an undrafted free agent like myself, who was over me, he ends up tearing his hamstring. Mm-hmm. So he's out for a couple weeks. So that was my moment. I am now working with the 2s. I'm now repping with the 2s. Mm-hmm. And massive opportunity. And unfortunately, in that 3rd week, I felt something go in my upper hamstring. I strained my hamstring out to the bottom of my ass, dude, tip top of my hamstring. And it was in a one-on-one. It was in a one-on-one situation. My base got a little wide. I stepped. I felt like a pop in my ass. No homo. And dude, by the end of that day, I was in so much fucking pain. Fortunately, my mentor, Ben Newman, was out there at the time. He came to visit because he did mental work with me throughout that summer. And he wanted to travel in just to make sure my head's right and doing all this stuff. Not for that moment, but he was just coming to check in. Fortunately, he was there. I'm with him that next day. I'm like, man, something fucked up in my hamstring, man. It's starting to hurt like a motherfucker. I tell the trainer, I'm like, hey, whatever we can do to duct tape this, however we can do whatever. I'm just letting you know I need treatment because I'm in a lot of pain, but I really appreciate if you wouldn't tell anybody.
Don't say that, yeah.
Because you don't want them to know the moment you're hurt like that, you could get cut if you're at the bottom, there's no use for you anymore. Mm-hmm. Next morning I wake up and I can barely walk because again it's in my ass, dude. I'm in so much pain. Yeah. I'm barely stepping and tears start coming out of my eyes because I'm like, fuck, man, I'm finally getting an opportunity and I can't. We go to walk through because you have walk through in the morning and then practice in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And we go to walk through and I do rehab before, I do all this stuff, get in the hot tub, and I'm still in excruciating pain. And I kind of finesse walk through. When you're undrafted and you're at the bottom of the depth charts, or if you're at the bottom of the depth chart, I'm not going to say undrafted. If you're at the bottom of the depth charts, you're the service team for the starters. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a rookie, so every rookie should be in there. And I kind of finesse to where I kind of hide in the back and never have to go out there because I'm in so much pain. I truly, I can't really move. Yeah. And I'm sitting with Ben in the afternoon, and he's like, "Come, man." And he's like, "Is there any way in hell for you to go?" And I was like, we got to find something because I'm getting to work with the fucking 2s. I'm getting my moment. And those are the times where I'm a guy who plays from the neck up. Fucking love, personnel, the formation, to tendencies, to all that stuff. And he's like, can you go? And I remember we just sat there and had the conversation, like, we got to do whatever possible. I remember taking Toradol just for fucking practice, doing all the necessary things to warm it up as much as possible. And I'm talking, I'm taped so much that, like, how you do like leg swing skip? I can't even really pick up. I can't even pick up my right leg because it's when I got extended that would really bother me. And that was the practice that is the most pivotal point in my career, because I go out on that practice and I have 2 interceptions and one more that was a PPU that should have been a pick. I was like a hook dropper and should have picked it on the other hash on RG3. I picked RG once and I picked Kirk Cousins another time. And that day I fucking come over to the sideline and Ben, my mentor, punches me in the chest and says, yo, I'm so fucking proud of you. And I feel emotion. I feel emotion feeling that, because I was so fired up that, that was the moment that's like, I can play in this league. And I fought through something that, I'm not on my deathbed or nothing, but those moments when you're trying to like make a roster and make a name. Later that night, Coach Shanahan runs into me, says, oh, Mr. Interception. The head coach, Coach Shanahan, a Super Bowl winning coach, which Coach Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, all these boys in Denver. They just had a hell of a year with RG that last year. Coach Shanahan knows my name now, and he's calling me fucking Mr. Interception. I had 1 pick in my college career. I dropped more than I can fucking count, dude. And it's like, fortunately, I had been there with me. And it's just like, again, those moments, and that moment specifically got me, because the linebacker coach didn't really mess with me. He was like a vet guy more than anything. And I'm not I'm not a high round pick that they're trying to develop. And I remember that night, we're going into the preseason game at Tennessee, first preseason game. And he's like, Will Compton, you're going to run with the 2s. Some coaches want to see you work with the 2s. I'm thinking to myself, well, fuck, why wouldn't you say we want to see you work with the 2s? Like, I know you don't fuck with me. And I got the rep with the 2s my first preseason game. And I got the rep with the 2s, bro. And I end up leading our team in preseason in tackles. I remember before that last preseason game, a scout came over to me. He's like, hey man, you got a real shot to make this team. He's like, you're gonna have to black out on defense, but you have a shot. I didn't black out on defense. I had a special teams tackle and stuff like that, but I ended up getting cut and going to practice squad. But when I had my exit meeting, when I was getting cut with Shanahan, he's like, hey, I know it sucks that you're getting cut, but he's like, I want you to know, I feel like we have something that nobody knows about for their roster. Not like I'm some secret weapon, but I know you can play linebacker. You just can't play special teams well enough yet to be on the roster. And that was my moment to where I had to be better on teams. And but he was like, your intelligence and everything else, he's like, I'm glad we have you. I know you wish you were on the active roster. And if a backer goes down, you'll be the first person we think about. But he's like, I'm glad you're here. That moment sucked to get cut and stuff. But to answer your question directly, It was that moment of training camp. Fucking strained my hamstring, a little tear in my hamstring. And you go out there and I have like the best fucking practice. To this day, I mean, it's probably my best practice in my career.
What are the chances that Ben's there that day too, right? That it all happens?
Dude, it was nuts. It was nuts. I did this financial Secure the Bag podcast with DDA. And he was there with Ben.
Oh, yeah. As
doing financial stuff with guys. And we were recapping that moment on the podcast. And it was just nuts because he got to see it kind of from afar. And he's like, oh, man, he's like, in his perspective, he's like, oh, man, that sucks. This guy, he's probably going to get cut. Because it's not, you don't know that the career is going to happen after that. But nuts, man. It's something that Ben and I always reminisce about because Ben and I found each other over Twitter. I DM'd him to do some psychology work, sport performance, mental performance work. In the off season because he lived in St. Louis and I lived in, Bonne Terre, Missouri, and we would meet we would both drive halfway and meet in the middle at a Panera Bread or a St. Louis bread company in Arnold, Missouri, and work once a week every Monday. Worksheet stuff, mental stuff, self-talk, things that I need to think about doing before I go into training camp. And then he's like, hey, I want to come out there just get my belief system in check.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, if I don't make it here, there's 31 other teams. And he's like, you got to change your thing. You got to change the way you talk to yourself. Like you are a linebacker at the Washington Redskins. No matter how stupid you feel saying that, you have to tell yourself that. And yeah, man. The next year, Adam Hayward comes in, who's a special teams fucking ace, and he pulls me, takes me under his wing. And he's like, hey, if you're going to stay around in this league, you got to be able to play teams. So I didn't play teams at Nebraska.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of being a 4-star cat and being linebacker and being on the field, and I never had to play special teams. So that was a learning curve for me. And Adam Hayward, shout out to him, he had his arm around me and took me under his wing to be a special teams guy. And then when those moments come to be a starter or a fill-in starter, when a guy were to get hurt, I started 5 games that second year in the league. Then the third year was 10 games, and the fourth year was the season. But that fucking practice, dude,
it's sweet. That's a great
was
story.
the pivotal moment of
awesome.
my entire journey.